So I fully subscribe to everything you've said, Born, that you have to be very careful because autocracies or dictators or anybody with ill intention that wants to convert a large part of the population to serve his or her own interests is going to go after the most vulnerable sector of the population, which is children. Coming back to something you said earlier, why is it that so many people aren't resisting? Well, to some extent, it is wrong. It is, and it's striking. I am the only teacher that I know of who was working. There are some that since have been forced out or retired, but while working was saying, no, I'm not going to tell kids that they're the gender stuff, that there is no thing boys and girls. I'm not going to put them into racial buckets. I'm not going to teach the fact that indigenous people knew more than us and were right about how there was genocide against them and we were just evil. I'm not going to lower academic standards and not challenge kids anymore and just get them through. That way we make sure that there's enough Black and indigenous or whatever group is considered to be less achieving, they're all reaching the same standard. Therefore, let's have no standards so everybody gets through. I hate the idea that schools are censoring literature. Even as Dr. Seuss and Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate. It's just absolutely extraordinary, that falsification of history. These are all things that I fought about in the school system in a short time, because up until then, I kept my mouth shut. And the reason I did that is I wanted to be promoted. I wanted to have a better paying job. I wanted to be respected by my peers. I wanted to have opportunities. And then when I realized suddenly that, it was a few years ago, that it wasn't going to happen to me because of my age and because of my skin color or whatever it was about me, that I ended up doing what I should have probably done much earlier. And that was just being vocal and saying, no, you don't indoctrinate children. They have to come to their own conclusions. They need to think about things. If we talk about whether it's a genocide, the false genocide of Indigenous kids, or any other problem in Canada, such as misrepresentation of Black people in prisons or Native people and committing suicide or whatever, that the goal should not be to accept or reject a position on the contentious issue under study. It's to understand the issue. Is to come to one's own conclusions. Is to test one's ideas against other people's ideas. The world is full of problems. We're seeing that obviously near where you are right now in a full-scale war in Ukraine. And we're seeing that in starvation and religious strife and all sorts of problems right across the continent of Africa. We're seeing that in all sorts of problems in Canada, increasingly hard for people just to have the basic necessities of life, which is to afford food and have a roof over one's head and so forth, and to get a job. These are real problems. That's what we should be addressing. That's what we need the young generation to do, to be trained and to turn their attention toward the problems that's going to make life better for you and me, but more importantly, for them. But they're not doing that in schools. They're memorizing the colors on the pride flag.